Hello everyone. In the previous session, we have discussed one of the important theorems called Poisson-Jensen formula and as well as fragment-Lane-Love theorem. So in this session, let me continue a few more important concepts in the same. So as you already familiar about harmonic function, hope so I have forwarded the notes of the same. In a first unit, that was a basic definition that you already studied in your UG level. So as you already know, harmonic function in the sense any function which satisfies the equation delta u is equal to 0. So dou u by dou x plus dou u by dou y will be equal to 0, right? So that was your basic UG level definition. Oh, I'm sorry, it is del square u, right? That is any function which it satisfies Laplace equation dou square u by dou x square plus dou square u by dou y square is equal to 0. We say such function as an harmonic function. Fine. Coming to the complex analysis of your PG class, harmonic function in the sense we are going to discuss with reference to a open subset of a complex plane C. Suppose if I have a if I have a complex plane C and an open subset of, let G be any open subset of a complex plane C, then a function u from G to R is said to be harmonic. I'll just define once again. Suppose C is a complex plane and G is any open set inside this complex plane C. Fine. Then a function u which is defined from G to R is said to be harmonic if dou square u by dou x square, with reference to function we are defining, that's all, dou square u by dou y square is equal to 0. Here u value will be x plus iy, but here u is a function from G to R. So such kind of function is called as harmonic function. Clear? And we have one standard derivation of this harmonic function. So here is a theorem. If f of z is equal to u of xy plus I into v of xy, there is an analytical function. As I already told you, analytical in the sense that function will be differentiable at all the points except at the poles, right? Then show that real and imaginary parts of an analytical function are harmonic. That is, we need to prove that this real part and this imaginary part is analytical. Individual, when you are going to consider individual, they are also harmonic, we have to prove. Fine. Now let us consider a function f of z which is equal to u plus iv. Fine. So given that it is analytical, right? Analytical function. Why? Because it is given in the statement itself. Now you already know that at the beginning of the complex analysis session I have given you a brief introduction about Cauchy-Riemann equation. So Cauchy-Riemann equation says that dou u by dou x is equal to, if this function is analytical, I can apply Cauchy-Riemann equation as dou u by dou x is equal to dou v by dou y and dou u by dou y is equal to minus dou v by dou x. This is from Cauchy-Riemann equation. Let me take this as equation 1. Fine. Since u and v are real, where u is a real part and v are imaginary part, and separately whenever we satisfies Cauchy-Riemann equation, it is obvious separate parts are analytical. Since f is analytical, I can say u is also analytical function, v is also analytical. But the difference is here, u is function of again two function. U is depends on x and y value and v is also depending on x and y value. Fine. Now the partial derivatives, or let me consider from equation 1, I'll just obtain a partial derivative. In the sense equation 1 partially differentiating with respect to x and y. Partially. I'm going to differentiate partially. Fine. So dou square u by dou x square I'm going to differentiate with reference to x. So you will get dou square v by dou y into dou x, right? Since we are differentiating with reference to x. Similarly, when you differentiate with reference to y, you will get dou square u by dou y square is equal to minus dou square v by dou x into dou y. Fine. Now let me add both. So you will get dou square u by dou x square plus dou square u by dou y square will be equal to dou square v by dou y into dou x minus dou square v by dou x into dou y. One and the same, right? See, you can interchange, then also meaning is same. So we can subtract these two. So you will get dou square u by dou x square plus dou square u by dou y square is equal to 0. Again I am going to differentiate one partially with respect to x and y. So what you are going to get, this time I am going to differentiate a function v. Fine. So dou square v by dou y square. I am differentiating this dou square v by dou y square will be equal to, differentiate this with reference to y. Since in the first time I have differentiated this with respect to x and this respect to y, I am reversing that. So I am going to differentiate this with reference to y. So you will get dou square u by dou x into dou square u by dou y, and I am going to differentiate this with reference to y. So you will get dou square u by dou y square is equal to minus dou square v by dou x into dou y. I'm differentiating this with reference to x. Fine. So you will get dou square v by dou x square into dou square u by dou y into dou x. Since we have already differentiated this with reference to y, so I have differentiated with reference to x. Clear? Now let me add both. So you will get dou square v by dou y square plus, right, plus dou square v by dou x square. I'll just shift minus sign to this side. So you will get minus here, you will get plus here. Fine. Will be equal to dou square u by dou x into dou y minus dou square u by dou y into dou x. I have shifted this minus sign to this side. So this can subtract, we can subtract these two terms. So you will get dou square v by dou y square plus dou square v by dou x square is equal to 0. You can note that from these two equations, it's satisfying a Laplace equation, right? So u is also satisfying Laplace equation and v is also satisfying Laplace equation. That is, individually they are representing a harmonic function, right? So since u and v are satisfying Laplace equation and f is expressed as combination of u and v, therefore f is also, if u and v satisfies Laplace equation, we can say f also satisfies Laplace equation. Thereby dou square f by dou x square plus dou square f by dou y square will be equal to 0. That is, u and v are harmonic. That is what we need to prove. Is real part is none other than u, imaginary part is none other than v. So real and imaginary part is also analytical as it satisfies a Laplace equation. So any equation which satisfies Laplace equation will be analytical. Fine. So this is the proof. So here is the next important theorem, Weierstrass factorization theorem. In the third lesson I have done Weierstrass theorem. Remember, Weierstrass theorem is different from Weierstrass factorization theorem. Anyhow, it is very simple but abstract. You have to remember the functions. No way. So if f of z is an entire function and f of z is not equal to 0, k greater than equal to 0 be the order of zeros of f of z. That is, k greater than equal to 0 is the order of a zeros of a function. Let remaining zeros of f of z be z1, z2 and so on, where each zn is repeated as often as its multiplicity. Then we have to prove that f of z is equal to e power of g of z into z power of k. This is pi. Phi is equal to n is equal to 1 to infinity. See, this pi is different from this pi. This pi is equal to 22 by 7. But this is a mathematical function. So e into mn into z divided by z power of n for some g of z. And mn is non-negative here. Clear? Now let me prove. Now assume that there are infinitely many zns. Why? Because it is given infinite number of zeros. Right? Let me prove this. Proof. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to assume, it is not an exactly assumption. Why? Because it is given in the statement itself that it has, a function has n number of, infinite number of zeros. Fine. So it has, assume that, I'll just write one statement. Assume that there are infinitely many zns, that is zeros. Then let me define a sequence mn. Why? Because mn is a non-negative. So let me define sequence in such a way that h of z is equal to, I'm going to define a sequence of function h of z is f of z divided by z power of k, summation from n is equal to 1 to infinity e into mn z divided by zn. Just you have to assume this function without e power of g of z. So I have defined an infinite sequence in such a way that h of z is equal to f of z divided by this value. Now what I'm going to do is, you can clearly see that f of z will not be equal to 0. Why? Because it is an analytical function and entire function. So h of z also not equal to 0. If f of z is not 0, we can say h of z is also not equal to 0. H of z is not equal to 0 as f of z is not equal to 0. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take log on both sides of this function. So you will get log h of z will be equal to log of m minus n property I'll apply. So I'll just write one more step, f of z divided by z power of k, pi is equal to n is equal to 1 to infinity e m n z by zn. So when you apply logarithm, you will get log of h of z is equal to log m minus log n property. So you will get log of f of z minus log m minus log n, log of z power of k pi is equal to n is equal to 1 to infinity e m n z divided by zn. Just I have applied a logarithm on both sides. Clear? Now let me take this entire function as g of z. So what I have done is simple proof, log of h of z is equal to g of z. Now as you already know that the properties of logarithm, whenever you have log a b is equal to c, we can write b power of c is equal to a as per the properties of logarithm, right? So similarly here if you have nothing, it is understood e will be there as because it is a natural logarithm. So I can write e power of g of z, e is understood, no need to write. E power of g of z will be is equal to h of z. Clear? Now let me take this as equation 2 and let me take this assumed function as equation 1. Now look at equations 1 and 2. I'll just I can write this as f of z is equal to e power of g of z. What I have done is I'm going to replace h of z value as e power of g of z in equation 1, or else I can write this as, I'll just write one more step, substitute equation 2 in 1. So h of z will become e power of g of z will be is equal to f of z divided by z power of k pi is equal to n is equal to 1 to infinity e into mn into z by zn. Now do the cross multiplication. So when you do cross multiplication you will get, so let me write here, when you do cross multiplication you will get e power of g of z into z power of k pi is equal to n is equal to 1 to infinity e mn z by zn, which is equal to f of z, or f of z is equal to e power of g of z z power of k pi is equal to n is equal to 1 to infinity e mn z by zn. So this is what the statement of Weierstrass factorization theorem is. Proof is simple. Only way is you have to define the function by giving this, and we have to prove h of z is equal to e power of g of z. Hope so it is clear. So this is Weierstrass factorization theorem. Fine. Remember in third unit it was Weierstrass theorem. It is Weierstrass factorization theorem. Clear? So here is the next theorem. It is called as mean value theorem. Let u is a function from G to R be a harmonic function. So just now I have explained the concept of harmonic function. And let B bar of A comma R, B bar of A comma R be a closed disk. As I already explained the concept of closed disk, it should be less than R. Contained in G. If gamma is a circle given by mod z minus a is equal to R, then we have to prove u of a is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi u of a plus R into e power of I theta into d theta. Fine. Now let me prove. So let us define a disk, as I already given that let D be a disk, and what is the disk is given, B bar of A comma R. Fine. Which is contained in a disk D. Fine. Whatever the given data I am just writing, and let f is analytical function. As usual, if it is harmonic, it is understood f should be analytic. If f is analytical, it need not be harmonic. Every harmonic function is analytical, but every analytical function need not be harmonic. Fine. Let f be analytical function, as you already studied that, and f be analytical function in such a way that u be a real part, as you already done, and v be imaginary part. Fine. So as we can express a complex function f as u plus iv, u be the real part and v is the imaginary part. That's what I have assumed. Now we have already done the Cauchy's integral formula in the first unit. So by Cauchy's integral formula I can write f of a is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi I into integral over c f of z divided by z minus a into dz. Let me take this as equation 1. Now it is given that circle equation is z minus a is equal to r. So I can write z minus a is equal to, just by removing modulus, you can write r into e power of I theta. Now z will become a plus r into e power of I theta. Now differentiate this, you will get in differentiation of a is 0, r as it is, differentiation of e power of I theta is I into e power of I theta d theta. Fine. With this I am going to substitute all this in equation 1. So equation 1 becomes f of a is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi I integral from 0 to pi. Why? Because in a circle 0 to 2 pi. theta will be 0 to 2 pi, so that is why I have taken 0 to 2 pi. F of z, z value, what is the value of z here? A plus r into e power of I theta divided by z minus a is r into e power of I theta, d theta is r into I into e power of I theta into d theta. Clear? Now I with this I get cancelled, r get cancelled, e power of I theta get cancelled. So what you left with? F of a is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi integral from 0 to pi f of a plus r into e power of I theta d theta. Since f is a function which consists of u plus iv, now u is a real part of a function. Now by taking real part and imaginary part separately, I am going to consider just a real part. When you are going to consider real part, as I already told you, f is consist of real part u and v is a imaginary part. So I am going to write it in terms of real part. Real part of f is u, which is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi. Real part of f is u of a plus r into e power of I theta into d theta, and that is what we require to prove this, right? Hence the theorem. So this is the mean value theorem. Clear? This is the statement and this is the required proof. So here is the next theorem called as Poisson's-Jensen's formula. So in the previous session I have done Poisson's integral formula. Poisson's integral formula or Poisson integral theorem, one and the same. Poisson integral formula or Poisson integral theorem. So we use this Poisson integral formula to prove Poisson-Jensen formula. So you just remember this Poisson integral formula. I have done the proof of this in a previous session. Now let me solve Poisson-Jensen formula. So here is a statement. If f of z is analytical in a simply connected domain D containing this disk except for poles b1, b2, bn, so these are the poles in this disk mod z less than r, and a1, a2, am are zeros. Here ams are zeros and bns are poles. Then we can say for z is equal to r into e power of I pi, log of f of z can be expressed as 1 by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi capital R square minus small r square of log of f of r into e power of I pi divided by capital R square minus small r square to capital R small r cos of theta minus pi. Just by looking at the first term we can decide we have the same denominator in Poisson-Jensen formula as well as in Poisson integral formula, right? So we are making use of this to prove the theorem. Only thing is we have log and these two terms extra, minus summation mu is equal to 1 to m log of r square minus a mu bar of z divided by r into z minus a mu plus summation gamma is equal to 1 to n log of r square minus b mu bar of z divided by r into z minus b of gamma. So these two terms are extra. I have not seen a question paper exactly. I don't know whether they'll ask this statement or not, but anyhow you just go to the question paper. I am trying to cover the syllabus. So this is the Poisson-Jensen formula. We will use this integral formula to prove this Jensen formula. Now to prove this, let me define a function. So in order to prove this, let me define a function psi of z as f of z into z minus b1, z minus b2. Why? Because b's are poles, z minus b3, so on, z minus bn divided by z minus a1 into z minus a2, where an's are poles. bn's are poles and an's are zeros. Find z minus an. So let me take this as 1. So I have defined a function psi of z in this manner. Fine. Meaning is psi of z has no zeros and pole in mod z less than r. So inside this region, that is inside this disk, the function will not be having any of the poles or any of the zeros. Fine. So if you assume that, let me consider a bar of I into z divided by r. Fine. So I can write this same as just by splitting that, which is less than, I'll just write less than ai. I'm going to split the modulus, so you will get this. Now it is given that ai is less than r in the theorem statement. Fine. So I can write this as into r. Mod z is none other than, what is the value of mod z we have? You just go through the statement mod z is less than r. So I can write this as r divided by magnitude of r is none other than r. So this r get cancelled. You will get this as r. That is, I can write magnitude of ai bar by z into r will be equal to r after simplification. Fine. So I can write r is equal to ai bar by z divided by r, again which not equal to 0. Why? Because this value is clearly not equal to 0. It is equal to certain value, say r. Fine. So I have already done a branch concept, that is branch of log r minus ai bar z by r. I'll just subtract log r with this value. So this is none other than a branch value. Fine, we say this is a branch. So one of the concept in complex analysis, so we say this is a branch or a branch of an analytical function f. Fine. Now let me define this function as log of r minus ai bar into z by r by using Poisson's integral formula that we have already done, into beta log of r minus ai bar into r e power of I pi divided by r into d pi, where beta is none other than capital R square minus small r square divided by capital R square plus small r square minus 2 into capital R into small r into cos of theta minus pi. See here, you may get confusion here. See, this is what the Poisson integral formula is. I am going to define this function in terms of Poisson integral formula. 1 by 2 pi as it is, 0 to 2 pi as it is. Now beta is none other than this entire value. I have chosen it as beta, this value. So that is what I have written here, capital R square minus small r square divided by this value. Entire value I have taken it as beta, and f of z value, in the sense in place of here what we have log, in place of f of r into e power of I theta we have logarithm term. So that is why I have written the term exactly as it is. What I have done is I have just substituted the value of z. Z is capital R into e power of I pi. Clear? So I have written everything in terms of function of e power of I pi. This is beta. Beta is another than this value. This is from Poisson integral formula. So what I have done is I have applied Poisson integral formula for ai. Here ai's are none other than zeros. Similarly, I am going to repeat the same procedure for bj's. Bj's is none other than here poles. Right? It is clearly given except for the poles b1, bn. So these are the poles and these are the zeros. So I have done it for zeros. I am going to do similar procedure for poles. So I'll just write here, similarly apply Poisson integral formula. This is by Poisson integral formula. Fine. So similarly Poisson integral formula for bj's are nothing but poles. So I can write this as log of r minus, in place of ai I am going to replace bj. Why? Because bj's are pole. Bj bar by z into z divided by r will be is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi beta into log of capital R minus bj bar e power of I pi divided by r into e power of I pi into d pi. So let me take this as equation 3 and let me take this as equation 2. So I have applied Poisson integral formula for both zeros as well as for poles. Fine. Now I am going to apply Poisson integral formula for a function xi of z. Let me define a function xi of z. For I am going to apply Poisson integral formula for psi of z. That is, in place of this value I am going to apply the function psi of z. That is the function what we have defined is psi of z only. So I am going to apply for this function. So you will get log of psi of z will be is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi beta into log of xi into r e power of I pi into d pi. Let me take this as function. For the first time I have applied it for zeros, second time I have applied it for pole, and the third time for the defined function psi of z I have applied the Poisson integral formula. In all the concepts, I mean in all the three aspects we have beta value will be same as per the integral formula. Clear? Let me take this as equation 4. Now from equation 1, in the sense what we have defined the function, so this is the one. So this is called as equation 1. So from equation 1 I can write psi of z just by taking the magnitude. Magnitude of psi of z will be equal to, I am going to take magnitude for each and every function, f of z, z minus b1, z minus b2, magnitude so on, z minus bn. Fine. So for psi of z I am taking magnitude for each and every function. So I can get z minus a1, z minus a2, so on, z minus am. So this is the value of am. Clear? Now therefore I am going to take log of psi of z will be equal to, I am just taking the log for this function. See here what I am going to get, log of f of z. So it is just like a properties of logarithm, you have to add all this, right? Log mn is nothing but log m plus log n. So I can write this as, by using summation, why? Because all these terms are like terms. So I can write this as summation j is equal to 1 to n logarithm of z minus bj. Fine. Divided by logarithm of, summation notation, I is equal to, since I have used j, so I is equal to 1 to m. Why? Because last term is m, here last term is n, so that is why I have written n here, log of z minus a1. Now I am going to shift this as, shift this to numerator. This is ai, right? Why? Because we are writing it in summation form. So I will just write this as log of psi of z will be is equal to log of f of z minus, I am going to shift this term numerator, I am going to rearrange. So when you shift it to numerator, I can write this as minus I is equal to 1 to m log of z minus ai. Since you have a logarithm term, then only you can shift it to numerator. So this term I am going to write as it is, summation j is equal to 1 to n logarithm of z minus bj. Clear? What I have done is, for the function 1 I have taken modulus for the first time. Next I have taken logarithm and I have applied the property. By using the summation notation, I can write like this. Fine. So let me take this as equation 5. Again I am going to apply Poisson integral formula for each of the terms in equation 5. Apply Poisson integral formula. I will just keep this LHS term as it is, log of psi of z is equal to log of f of z. Remember, the minute when you are applying Poisson integral formula, all the terms of z will be changed to in terms of pi. So apply Poisson integral formula, 1 by 2 pi 0 to 2 pi beta into logarithm of f of r, capital R, e power of I pi into d pi. That's it. Similarly, summation I is equal to, nothing will change. So only you have to take summation and write this term, that is 1 by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi, apply beta, then whatever the term is there you just write, but in place of r what we have to write, modulus of r into e power of I pi minus ai into d pi. Clear? See, whatever the term is there you have to write along with the magnitude, but z should be changed as to r into e power of I pi d pi. Similarly 1 by 2 pi integral 0 to 2 pi beta as it is, so log into r e power of pi ia pi into d pi. Next plus summation j is equal to 1 to n 1 by 2 pi integral 0 to 2 pi beta logarithm of z changing to r e power of I pi minus bj into d pi. Clear? Just I have applied the formula. Now you just keep as it is. Now let me simplify. Let us consider magnitude of why? Because we need these values, right? Magnitude of r into e power of I pi minus ai. So how can we write this as, just by splitting the term, I can write this as e power of I pi into capital R minus ai divided by e power of I pi. I have just taken e power of I pi as a common term. So when you take this as common term, you will get divided by here. So I have just taken this. Now I can simplify this as e power of I pi into r minus ai into, I'll just shift to numerator, so you will get e power of minus I pi. So I can again write this as r in minus ai bar into e power of, since when you're making this minus as positive, so ai will become negative, so you have to represent it with minus. So plus, it minus will become plus. Why? Because we are putting the bar here for the zeros, so I can write this as e power of I pi. Clear? Therefore r into e power of I pi minus ai can be written like this. Now with this I am going to rewrite this equation, so I'll just write here. So I can write this as, see here, this equation can be written as log of xi of z will be equal to xi. I am going to represent xi with f of z, right? Why? Because look at the equation 4. So equation 4 I am using that is why I'm replacing the Poisson integral formula. Equation 4 is in the form of this, that is in terms of beta, right? So if that was the case, I can represent psi of z with f of z. So I can write this as or else let me write one more step. Log of psi of z will be equal to 1 divided by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi beta into log of, I'll just write this step as it is, magnitude of f into r into e power of I pi into d pi minus summation I is equal to 1 to m logarithm of capital R minus ai bar into z minus r. Just now I have simplified this, plus summation j is equal to 1 to n logarithm of capital R minus bj bar into z by r. Let me take this as equation 6. This is from equation 4. Why? Because look at the equation 4 what we have. So here is the equation 4. So whenever you have log of psi of z, you can whenever you have integral of this form, you can write this as log of psi of z. So that is what I have written. See here, integral I have 1 by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi beta into log of r e power of 5 pi into ai. So in place of this term I have only this. So how can I write this integral term, that is inside the summation term, can be written as log of psi of z. So here what we have, psi of r into e power of I pi. R into e power of I is none other than z. So psi of z I can write. Similarly, log of psi of z, just by leaving this integral sign, everything can be represented as log of psi of z. Similarly, overall this integral can be written as log of this function. So that is why I have not written integral sign here. Similarly, second term also 1 by 2 pi, this integral value will be log of psi of z from equation 4. That is why I have clearly mentioned this is from equation 4. So equation 4 represent whenever you have integral term of log of some function, you can write log of some function just by leaving this integral. So that is what I have done. I have just left this integral sign, and in place of function, log of some function, I have r e power of I pi minus ai. So that is what I have written. Anyhow r into e power of I pi minus ai, I have simplified this as r minus ai bar into e power of I pi. Similarly, I can write this as r minus bj bar into e power of I pi. So that is what I have written. Fine, just I have replaced this just by taking the common factor. So r into e power of I pi. Clear? E power of I pi is, see here, z is equal to r into e power of I pi, right? So I can write e power of I pi as z by r. So that is why I have written z by r. Don't get confusion. I have written directly. Since z is equal to r into e power of I pi, I can write e power of I pi as z by r. So that is what I have written. Instead of writing e power of I pi, I have converted it in terms of z by r. So only when you see this video, you can understand the steps. All these steps will not be that much of comfortable. So you just go through this video, then you will feel easy. So let me take this as equation 6. Clear? Now look at the equation 5. From equation 5, here I have an equation 5. So what I'm going to do is, I'll just rewrite these terms here. Log of psi of z. So instead of psi of z, I'm going to replace it with f of z. I'll just rewrite this term. I'm going to extract the value for log of f of z. I'll keep this term as it is. I'm going to shift this term to RHS side. So log of psi of z as it is. So when you shift this, you will get plus summation I is equal to 1 to m logarithm of z minus ai. Now you shift this, you will get minus summation j is equal to 1 to n logarithm of z minus bj. Now what you have here, which is equal to logarithm of f of z. Clear? After shifting the terms, this is what you have. Now I'll just rewrite this log of f of z is equal to, I'll just write this and this one, log of psi of z plus summation I is equal to 1 to m logarithm of z minus ai minus summation j is equal to 1 to n logarithm of z minus bj. Now what I'm going to do is just replace the values of j. See here, log of f of z I'm going to write as it is. Now log of psi of z we have. Now I'm going to substitute log of psi of z value from equation 6. From equation 6, substitute log of psi of z value. So when you substitute log of psi of z, what is the value of log of psi of z? I'm going to substitute. So you will get 1 by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi beta into log of f of r into e power of I pi into d pi minus summation I is equal to 1 to m logarithm of r minus ai bar into z by r plus summation j is equal to 1 to n logarithm of r minus bj bar into z by r. Just I have substituted log of z value. Next, these two terms as it is. Summation I is equal to 1 to m logarithm of z minus ai minus summation j is equal to 1 to n logarithm of z minus bj. Just a substitution of log of psi of z from equation 6. Theorem may be very lengthy. No way, you have to practice. Fine. Now log of f of z, I'll just simplify. See here, first term I'm going to write as it is, 1 by 2 pi integral from 0 to 2 pi beta of logarithm of f of r into e power of I pi into d pi. Now I'm going to group this term with this. Why? Because we have ai's here, right? See here, this is having plus, this is having, this is having minus and this is having plus. So by combining these two terms, I can write summation I is equal to 1 to m logarithm of capital R square minus ai bar z divided by capital R into z minus ai. See here, I'll just explain here if you want, just for your reference. See what I have, logarithm of r minus ai bar z divided by r, this term, plus logarithm of z minus ai. So minus sign for this and plus sign for this. Now I can write this as, see here, I'll just rewrite this. It is of the form log m minus log n, right? So it is log m by n. I'll just take minus as a common term. So what you're going to get, minus r into ai bar. I'll just take LCM here. So you will get r square plus, when you take minus, you will get minus here. When you multiply minus inside, you will get back this step. So how it looks like now, it is of the form, see, minus as it is, log m minus log n. It is log m by n, r square minus ai bar by z by r divided by z minus ai. So 1 will be there in the denominator. So when you shift it to numerator, you will get minus log of r square minus ai bar by z by r into 1 divided by z minus I. So I can write this as minus logarithm of r square minus ai bar of z, modulus is there for all the term, so divided by r into z minus ai. So that is what I have written here directly. See here, log of r square minus log of r square minus ai bar z divided by r into z minus a. When you combine these two terms, just I have shown you for your simplification, for your reference. Fine. Similarly, when you keep on simplify the terms, it will take time as well as much space. So that is why I am writing it directly. So combining these two terms, I can write minus, combine these two terms and take minus as a common again. Just now I have shown you. So minus of minus will become plus. You will get j is equal to 1 to n logarithm of, in place of ai, you will get bj. Same simplification. If you want, you can check this. So just I have shown for your reference, z minus bj. When you combine this term with this term and taking minus as a common term, apply properties of logarithm, you will get this. And this will be the required proof of the Poisson-Jensen formula. So here is the statement. You can check if you want. So log of f of z will be equal to this one. So this is the first page of the theorem, and this will be the second page. This will be the third page. Pages are not important, but anyhow I tried my level better to explain all the steps. And if you want, you can go to the video and you can write all the steps for your reference. But my suggestion is that avoid as much as possible writing steps. Why? Because in the sense you cannot skip all the steps. Major steps you have to write. Simple simplification, if you want, you can skip. Why? Because all the theorem is very lengthy. It takes more time to write. Fine. So this is what the Poisson-Jensen formula is. So as the duration of the video is more, so we have 3 corollaries, but anyhow we don't have proof of corollary. So we have 3 corollaries based on Poisson-Jensen formula. Further we will use this corollary to prove the Jensen's formula for in the next session. So I'll be doing with the next theorem in the next session. Please, I'll send you the notes. Please copy the notes. Please practice as much as possible. Refer the question paper, then you will get an idea. Thank you. Continue in the next session.